Welcome back to another episode of Hazy Headed. Today we're going to talk about that ugly in-between phase of being an old piece of shit and becoming a new and improved person. I'm Evan Brandt, and this is the prison of potential. Now let's talk about this. Growth is notoriously known for its ups and downs. Everybody knows that. But what happens when you've been stuck in seeing your potential and then just being kind of in this state of being almost like a plateau? This is going to be a very specific video. This can be applied to anything. Let's say you are starting a new job and you suck at it and you're trying every day to improve. This is really prominent in sales, and you keep improving, and you can see little glimpses of how great you're becoming. And I see this with the podcast. I see this with my other business ventures. I see this with who I'm becoming as a person. And thank God that I can finally have a little bit of hope for myself. The issue comes in when the process feels like it's taking longer than it should. Obviously, everyone knows you have to be patient, but you sit in your mind, you sit and think to yourself, how much more patience do I have to have? My God, I'm doing everything right. I'm staying positive. I'm working out. I'm taking great care of my dog. Everything I'm doing are the correct things, but I'm just seeing little bits and pieces, fragments of what I could be. And then you really have to take a step back and see how good you're doing. And I think the reason why I wanted to make this video is because it is a ugly, untalked about phase of personal development, or it's almost like feeling stagnant while doing all these things that you didn't do in the past. So I just want to kind of walk through those emotions. So let's take a step back. I always allude to this because it's such an important part of my journey. And once people understand it, they might be able to relate it in some way in their life. Let's take a look back. It's 7/11 of 2026. 7/11 of 2024, I was probably blackout drunk at this time. 4 o'clock on a Saturday, easily. I would black out 3 to 4 times a week. That is no joke. That's not hyperbole. I spent most of my paycheck on alcohol and going out and getting fucked up. Very sad. So when I look at that for myself, where I am now, I'm sober, I'm healthy, I'm confident. All these things I'm achieving that I would not have been able to do when I was like that. So all these things, I'm proud of myself. The frustration comes in where it feels like I've hit a ceiling. Like I just can't take myself to the next level. I can't build a following. I don't know what's going on. I'm very grateful for the people that comment on my shorts or the people that say, man, I love your podcast. The thing that it sucks. It's like, dude, I want to inspire the world. I want to be the Gen Z version of fucking Tony Robbins to an extent. I'm obviously joking. We have wildly different personalities, but what that emotion does, or what those feelings do, is it tests your patience. And patience is kind of the last hurdle in whatever you want to do, because you know you're doing the right things. Now it's just like, okay, I'm going to work hard to sharpen my skill every day, continuing to do that every single day. And then you get to a point where it's like, okay, I can't do anything else but to keep going. And that is hard. That is very difficult, because you know how much you're working. You know how much you care about something. You know how long you're willing to wait. You just don't want that to actually happen, because you want to see your full potential while you're here. There's this guy, his name is Dwayne. He's a very popular YouTuber. He works with horses and stuff, and he has one of the best quotes. And I don't know if he got it from someone, but regardless, he said, "What do you do if you see that your dream is so far away that you will die before you get to it?" And he says, "Die on the road. Die on the road." And I think that's so powerful, because the achievement was never the goal anyways. It was to create the person that could hold the achievement. So that's something I remind myself of when I'm in this journey. And if you're not careful, I've already seen a little glimpse of this. You're going to always feel behind no matter what you do, no matter how hard you've worked, no matter how much effort that you've put into something. As you continue to grow and stack win upon win, you're going to say to yourself, well, I should have done this twice as hard then, and this and that. And then it becomes a trap. So it really is like a truly delicate balance, because you need to be hard on yourself to create something, but then you also need to be patient and kind of humble enough to know that there's a lot of factors that are outside of your control. And if you're an ambitious person, and ambition doesn't just have to be, oh, you're always working 24/7. It could just be working towards a goal. If you like chess, if you are an athlete, if you're somebody that's just competitive, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're putting all this time, effort, and energy, and then you see this kid who doesn't give a shit, who's just naturally talented, just blow by you. But I think David Goggins and Joe Rogan explain that perfectly. They say, man, especially David Goggins, he says, man, I wasn't born with any fucking talent. He said, talent gets you to a point where you get capped off. And it says the only way, there's a certain level of hard work that just blows talent out of the water. That talent is just a natural ability. And you'll find out, Joe Rogan, this was on his podcast, they talked about this, and he said many MMA fighters experience this. They're just the biggest killers, and they just have this natural talent, but they couldn't get to the next level because they relied so much on their talent. And that's why I so much look at the gritty underdog, the person who was never supposed to be anywhere near success, whether it's the poor migrant family story who, the kid against all odds makes a business, or the kid who had no connections become a movie star, or the kid that was doubted every step of the way. Maybe he had a problem, like he had, something like missing leg. I'm being a little silly there, but you get my point. If you can live in a way where you are just always not supposed to, you weren't even supposed to be here, having that mentality. Like, I look at myself, I said, I can't believe this. I fully accepted in my early fucking 20s, after I'd already been drinking for 2 or 3 years at an unhealthy rate, imagine being a 21, 22-year-old kid saying, I'm going to die like this, and just fully accepting that that's how my life was. First of all, that's depressing. But second of all, to see where I am now, it just feels like it doesn't even feel real. It feels surreal. And I often put myself in the future, and it feels surreal as well. But this sort of prison feeling, this prison of potential, that's why I named it this episode. It's because you're almost getting it's almost like a jester. Just imagine seeing yourself as this amazing person who's able to just latch their teeth on in the world and get whatever they want. You see little glimpses of that through your behavior, through your discipline, through staying positive, through all these things. And it's kind of like, ha, 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 you are almost there, but you're not really. And it's kind of like, oh my God, it is annoying. But I laugh about that because there's no way that other people haven't hit that point. I feel like I'm on a point in my journey where everything feels like it's a plateau. And it's just like, when am I going to get the benefits of all this hard work? And that uncertainty will stack up for so long. And if you don't have a way to kind of talk through it, kind of like I'm kind of thinking out loud right now when I was talking about the David Goggins thing and this and that, I don't have talent. The only positive trait that people have called me my whole life, which I'm very blessed for, is charismatic. And I think that's a great personality trait. And I do think it's kind of a rare trait, like what true charisma is. But other than that, I'm not super athletic, kind of an awkward kind of person my whole life, which you probably think like, oh, well, how are you going to get called charismatic and be called awkward? Well, you can have a special energy about you, but not know how to utilize it properly. So as I've learned and grown through that, I've tried my best to unlock my full potential, the type of fucking YouTube clickbait bullshit you see online. But it's true. Like you only have so many attributes. So if you're not willing to be in this state of mind where it's like, oh wait, I did plateau a little bit. I think it gets to a certain point. I'm alluding back to what I said earlier. I think it gets to a certain point where you're no longer like improving exponentially. It's more like this. And the thing is, the only thing, once you've really sharpened your skill and learned your craft and all these things, now it's just a race against time. That's God's challenge for you. That is God's last challenge, as he says, and I don't care if you don't believe in God or not, just listen to the wisdom. God's last challenge is to say, okay, well, how patient can you be? That's why patience is a virtue. People don't even realize that if you're not going towards a direction of anything. People hear that and they're like, whatever. But when you really are in the trenches working as hard as you can, or maybe, I'm not working as hard as I can all the time, and that's something I could probably improve on, but it's not as much about that. It's about, you got to be patient now. You're at the part of your process where it's like, you're no longer sharpening your craft as much as just going at it and learning more about yourself and just letting your maturity catch up to you, especially being in a niche in my podcast where it's more of a mature audience. It's about psychology, it's self-improvement. Like, not everybody's going to say, okay, you're a 24-year-old kid, you haven't lived enough life. People are going to say that no matter what. So my peak existence for this type of content isn't even until I'm older. So it's just about continuing despite the doubt, despite not seeing anything. And like I said, if you can see your potential, but you're still working hard and nothing's happening, it's that last son of a bitch patience. That's it. You've tackled lust for the most part. You've tackled all these different attributes of yourself, greed, gluttony. I'm not saying that I don't succumb to that. I just killed a pizza in one sitting the other day. But there's all these virtues, is my point, that you were able to finally defeat to an extent. And then it's like, if you get impatient, you're going to start fucking up. You're going to start becoming bitter. You're going to start saying, why isn't it my time? I'm doing everything right, God. What's going on now? And it's like, well, this is part of it. You are so close, Evan Brandt, to getting everything you want in your life. But the question is, how long are you going to be able to sit down and say, okay, let's put my pride to the side. I don't have 100 million listeners. I don't have this or that. Be grateful for what you have now. Patience, gratitude, all these things tie in together. And the more you can tap into what I have now, the less your potential will feel like it's dormant. Yeah. So thank you guys for this episode, for listening to this episode. I appreciate your time. Follow me, Hazy Headed Official, on Instagram, and tune in next week for another episode. Love you.